Welcome back to the Purple Pod, the best K-State podcast out there. I'm Stevie B.
I'm Kenny G.
And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about K-State's 28-19 win in the Pop-Tarts Bowl here in 2023. Before we do that, though, make sure you guys like, subscribe, tell your friends. I think we've gained like 40 to 50 subs over the last couple of weeks, Kenny. It's been pretty awesome, and I think that we should be thanking a lot of K-State fans for subbing to our channel.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, thank you guys so much for supporting the show. This started out as something more of like a passion project, and we'd like to keep it going. It's just something that Steve and I are really passionate about. We love K-State, and we're kind of taking this channel, not really doing the whole let's be charitable. Like, we're fans of K-State, so we're gonna be like kind of the homer takes. We're like, we're totally like super fans of K-State, and we want K-State to win all the time. We'll be a little critical when we need to be, but at the end of the day, we're big fans, and we just want to take the fan perspective of the game. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, dude. And yesterday, you came over to my house. We had a pizza party while we watched the game. My parents came over. Our daughters got to hang out. There was lots of yelling, lots of high-fiving. We had a high five for the same touchdown 3 times because they called them all back.
It's crazy, man. This game there's a lot to talk about, man. I can't wait to get into it. It's going to be a really fun video to end the year off right.
Absolutely. And we're going to be talking K-State basketball in upcoming episodes. I believe this is the final K-State football podcast of the season, though. So, like we said, K-State won 28-19 in the Pop-Tarts Bowl in Orlando, Florida at Camping World Stadium. K-State never trailed in the game. They led throughout 7-0, 14-0, 21-13, 28-19 was the final score. Kenny, let me get your initial thoughts on K-State's win to get them to 9-4 back-to-back seasons of winning 9+ games.
Oh man, this game was so good to be able to have at the end of the season, because man, what a horrible taste that was left in our mouths after the Iowa State game, Farmageddon. Horrible game to leave a season on, and I'm just happy that we were able to go to this bowl game, and a lot of really good things to look at. We got to see Avery Johnson. It was great to see him actually step up and realize that this stage isn't too big for him. He actually can handle this really well. So that was really nice. It was a good farewell to a lot of the seniors that were playing. So overall, it's just good to end on a win. It's good to end the year on a win. And man, I'm just super glad that we were able to pull this win off, pull the game off in a really cool way. So that's my initial thoughts, man.
Absolutely. So my initial thoughts are it's great for K-State and the program that they were able to get to 9 wins back-to-back seasons, like you said, coming off of that kind of embarrassing 42-35 home loss to Iowa State in a rivalry game. For K-State to come back and to beat a higher-ranked team in a bowl game was pretty special. Now, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I believe this is the first time in K-State football history that K-State has beaten a team ranked higher than them in a bowl game. Every other time K-State's played a higher-ranked team, they've lost, like Alabama, Arkansas, Oregon, Ohio State, a bunch of other teams. For the most part, K-State has lost against a higher-ranked team. So I believe, without checking my notes, this is the first time K-State has beaten a higher-ranked team in NC State. Now, we come to find out that the ACC may not be so good at football. K-State basically took them to the woodshed. They probably could have won by a lot more than they did. A lot of drives stalled. But I want to talk about this later more, but I want to talk about the defense. They gave up 42 points to Iowa State, and in this game, they held NC State. Now, they're not a great offense, but they said that was the most passing yards ever for a left-handed quarterback in the ACC. To hold them to 19 total points is very impressive. They were bringing the heat all game. I feel like this is the best game of the season for a couple of the players, including VJ Payne and a couple of other safeties. Overall, I was pretty impressed with this win. And we're going to get into some stats here.
Are you talking about Mr. 10,000? Oh, man.
Mr. 10,000.
Mr.
I've never seen a stat where they said most passing yards ever for a left-handed quarterback. There's some useless stats out there, dude. Remember that one time they showed like Travis Kelce's stats when Taylor Swift is at the game and when he's not? That's what that stat felt like to me, dude.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
All right. We're going to get into this here. I'm going to pull up some stats right now. Robbie Schultz, I appreciate you joining us. He is a big supporter of this channel. I'm going to pull up.
What a guy.
What a guy.
Yeah, man. It was kind of interesting watching the game unfold. We had for those who don't know, who are just kind of trying to get the educated video here of the game, you come to the right place. This is the best K-State podcast out there. But the offensive coordinator that was running the team is actually an offensive line coach.
Yes.
And so we had an offensive lineman coach calling the plays, and Coach Chris Kleiman said in an interview that the game plan was to force feed DJ Giddens the ball. But then also it was really cool to see how many passing plays we were actually willing to give Avery and show off that arm. And I think that was intentional because they did want to show that he can kind of throw the ball as well as run the ball and do it all, really. And man, what a great showcasing. Now all we really need is to find some receivers that can catch a fastball because, man, Avery was throwing them rockets, man. He was throwing them rockets, bro. It was crazy.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. There was a couple of drop passes. Jaden Jackson had one. Oakley had one. There was a couple other ones in there as well.
Johnson.
Keegan Johnson. Avery Johnson finished the game 14 to 31 for 178 yards, 2 touchdown passes. But I want to talk about his QBR there. That takes into account his decision making throughout the game, getting the yards that they needed to. 94.9. I'm not looking at the stats, but that has to be up there among Will Howard's best games ever at K-State. Now I know
he literally was, he didn't turn the ball over, which dude, Will Howard had a problem this year with turning the ball over and historically throughout his career. Yep. And for Avery Johnson to come out on a big stage and play against a very, very good defensive team. You realize that the NC State is one of the best ACC defense schools out there. Like they don't give schools a lot of points. So for Avery to and really it's a testament to the line. Avery has shouted out the O-line. They really played their hearts out at that game. And it showed, man. Like Avery didn't even get touched in the backfield. It was amazing. That's partly due because Avery Johnson's a freaking crazy beast and has some quick skills, and he's just really, really fast, man. He's unbelievably fast. But his decision making, like you had mentioned, knowing when to hold the ball, when to throw the ball, when to throw it away, it was actually really impressive to see as a true freshman. And I did confirm he's actually 19. He's not 18. He's 19.
Okay, he's 19.
He is 19. Okay. He is 19. So he did turn 19.
Okay, so according to Cole Manbeck, as we're talking about turnovers in this game and how K-State did not turn the ball over once, this is the first game this season. According to Cole Manbeck, great guy, does the 3-mile pod, used to work at the Mercury. I went to college with him. Really, really good dude. This is the first game this season that NC State did not force a turnover. They came into the game third nationally in terms of forcing turnovers this season. So for K-State to not turn it over once with a brand new quarterback, a brand new offensive coordinator, missing their top tight end, their top receiver, is pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. I'm going to go over these stats here really quickly here. Avery Johnson, 14-31, 178 yards, 2 touchdown passes, 94.9 QBR. We talked about that. DJ Giddens was robbed, absolutely robbed player of the game, in my opinion. 28 carries, 151 rushing yards, and a touchdown. He also was second on the team with just 1 catch, but with 37 yards. He had that 37-yard touchdown catch on 4th and 5 on K-State's opening drive. Jace Brown led the team in receptions, which is not really like a huge surprise, knowing basically he was the next guy up after a couple of guys opted out of the game. And we know that Jace Brown and Avery Johnson are best friends. They are roommates. So we kind of knew that he was going to get the ball a lot. He had 52 yards on 5 catches for a touchdown. K-State as a team ran for 257 yards on 40 totes, an average of 6.4 yards per carry. The offensive line was rolling. They didn't give up a sack all game. Great showing for a senior class of all basically offensive linemen there that just really showcased their talent and played pretty darn well against a pretty good defense.
Yeah, man, it was actually something I was pretty worried about going into the game. Now I knew that we would have the offensive line as the veterans out there. So I knew that we would at least have that. But going into it, I was like, man, we don't have Ben Sennett. Man, we don't have a backup running back in case DJ's got an off night. Like, what are we going to do? If DJ isn't going to run well, then we don't have a Trayshawn Ward. We don't have Ben Sennett. We don't have Phillip Brooks. You know, a lot of our weapons kind of, you know, they took off, you know. So and also our starting quarterback Will Howard wasn't there. So it was a lot of question marks. And you knew the potential was always going to be there, and you knew that, like, and I hate using that word. It's like, oh, the potential of us being great was always going to be in the conversation, but for us to actually go out and execute it, it was really, really nice to see. And it felt great. Like I said, this is, and everybody keeps talking about bowl games being this like launching pad for what is to come next season, with the next man up mentality, next guy up mentality. And you saw it, man. A lot of people that were playing that game are coming back next year. And so it's going to be really fun. I cannot wait to see what we can do on the ball, both sides of the ball, offense and defensively. But as far as offense is concerned, man, hats off to DJ. He played out of his mind. The first half was just incredible to watch how well he was able to run through. And you know what? We've talked about this before. I've said this all the time on this podcast. DJ is one of those guys that he's not like going to get you the flashy plays. He is just that guy that is going to run you and get that 7 yards and fall forward every single time. And he's a workhorse, man. Like, he is definitely one of the best running backs that you could ask for. He's humble, dude. He's not trying to be a diva. He's, you know, really soft-spoken man. He doesn't have a lot to say. His interviews are hilarious. And then, you know, to even top it all off, Coach Kleiman, what he said in his interview when they mentioned DJ Giddens, he says he was turned. He was turned. And then he followed up and he said, like, I don't even know what that means.
You know what that's from, right? You know what that's from, right?
He was turned.
Yeah, so they were interviewing DJ Giddens after K-State beat KU a couple weeks ago. I guess it was like a month ago at this point now. He was asked, the media was asking DJ Giddens what the locker room was like after winning a rivalry game. And DJ Giddens said, you know, everyone was turned. I was a little turned.
I was a little turned.
So that's what that whole thing came from.
That's
in fact,
so
I think the running backs coach actually had a shirt that had DJ Giddens' face on it and said at the bottom, I was turned, or I was a little turned. So that's what that whole thing came from.
But going back to, man, like when DJ has his interviews, man, he literally doesn't try to act like he is the superstar. He's always like, yeah, it was easy to do my job because I got a really great line and I've got a lot of people that know how to do their job really well. And so, you know, it just makes my life a lot easier and it makes me look so much better. And it's literally like the same mentality with a lot of guys I realize that come out of K-State. They never really want to hone the credit all to themselves. They're always passing the credit back to the team, you know, and that's just, it's something that you like to see. It makes me proud to be a K-State fan for sure.
I don't think you could ask for two better guys at the running back position than the last couple of years of Deuce Vaughn and DJ Giddens. Those are two just great human beings. Like, if you ever heard them talk, they just super humble people, always giving the recognition to the offensive line. Just really nice guys that are just, they're blue collar people that just go to work every day, and
Mhm.
they'll get their yards when called upon. And DJ was definitely doing that. We have to ask. We got to find out. We need to find out if DJ Giddens ever did bowling in high school, because that guy just be knocking people over, knocking things over. You know what I mean? He doesn't ever go down on first contact. He's like a bowling ball out there, man.
Yeah.
It is nice
Oh
to
yeah.
see. He ended
It's
up with
crazy.
188 total yards and 2 total touchdowns. Fantastic. But let's get back to the quarterback here. Avery Johnson's first start at quarterback, 3 total touchdowns. He was named the game's MVP, which deserved, but we'll talk about our MVP a little bit later. He ended the season with 12 total touchdowns, which is more than Josh Freeman had as a freshman at K-State, which is pretty crazy to think about considering Josh Freeman started like almost every game as a freshman. And this is Avery Johnson's first start at quarterback. I want to get your thoughts on Avery Johnson's first career start at quarterback for K-State here in this bowl game. Kenny?
Dude, like I've already kind of mentioned it, man, earlier on my initial thoughts. I think it's insane how calm, cool, and collected he was throughout the game. It's like this guy does not really get phased by the moment. You would assume that uh, a 19-year-old kid, true freshman coming in to Power 5 football was going to start this game and have some nerves. Dude, look what happened to KU. When we played KU, that was a true freshman. And he threw some interceptions. He made some bad throws. He was a little shook. Not Avery Johnson. This guy is insane, dude. I'm just so pumped that he is bleeding purple, and it's really exciting that he's able to come to this school and put on a performance like that. And he just seems really dedicated, man. He seems really, really like, again, this is the blue collar conference, and if anybody knows what that means, it means that the people that are going to be on these teams across the Big 12, they're going to be working hard, and they don't pretend that they're like some superstar when they walk in. And it was really cool to hear Avery Johnson talk about, during his interview, he talked about how it always feels like a family, a brotherhood in that locker room. And he said that he guarantees that is not like anywhere else. Because I'm sure he's been to other colleges before he fully committed to K-State, and he said that he never met or felt a brotherhood and a family like K-State had. So that has to show something to you future K-State football players out there. If you're watching, you want a brotherhood, you want a family, you want a team that's actually going to work hard for you and be there to help support you, man. You got to come to this school, man. I don't even know why I'm trying to recruit for K-State. Like, I'm just saying, it's cool to hear Avery Johnson just, again, giving credit back to his team. And he said it 1,000 times. He's like, man, my job was 100 times easier because everybody else was doing their job and everybody else was like kicking ass and taking names. And it just made his life so much easier to make himself look so good on the field. It makes sense,
Absolutely. So here's what I want to say. There was a lot of KU people chiming in during the game saying, Avery Johnson's not that good. It's a wide receiver playing quarterback, blah, 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 blah. You shouldn't have. That's a running back that threw for 45% completion percentage, blah, 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 blah. Screw you. K-State beat a top 25 defense in this game. Basically, they were top 25 in every single area. They were a very, very good defense. I believe this was the second most yards per play that, and let me pull up the stats here, the full stats that they had given up all season.
They're also a really fast defense.
Yes.
And Avery was outrunning them. Like that.
Yep.
I just can't wait till we play the Hawks, the Jayhawks again, man. Like Jay freaking horrible. What a horrible school. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, absolutely. just an hour or so east of you and I, where we live. So K-State had 435 yards, 178 passing, 257 rushing. Very good game offensively, even though it felt like pretty frustrating at times. And, we can get into the Connor Riley situation here in a little bit. But in terms of Avery Johnson, I don't think you could ask for anything more than what we got out of him. 250 total yards, 3 touchdowns.
Dude, 2 of those touchdowns were audibles.
Yeah,
They were
absolutely.
checked down on the freaking on the line right there. It's like that is super impressive. Now, of course, they practice this stuff all the time. If he reads a coverage that he knows how to make that change on the go, and they go over this. But it is really cool. Again, the confidence coming from a true freshman. It's just impressive, dude. It's just you don't expect it. And the fact that we have somebody, and I just can't wait to see what he can do next year. But when you have somebody like that, man, it's just it's easy to get excited about it. We've got 8 people watching us. How is everybody doing? Feel free to comment. We'll post it on the live feed here and respond to your comments. As of right now, it is free to comment. You don't even need a super chat, and we'll just we'll interact with you live. We will interact with you live on YouTube.
Well, shout out to all the K-State fans for watching our Pop-Tarts Bowl preview. That video got 1,000 views. That's our first regular video to get 1,000 views.
Our live
video, what's up. We should have another one hit 1,000 today. That one talking about Avery Johnson versus Will Howard from earlier in the season after the Texas Tech game. That video is right at 1,000 or so going into today. That's pretty awesome. We appreciate everyone so much.
Let me make one comment about
okay,
that.
Go ahead. I'm gonna get you full screen here. Go ahead.
One little comment. All right. So there was a gentleman who felt the need to post a comment on that video. It was a rant that I had about K-State fans needing to calm down about the whole Avery thing. Saying that he needs to start over Will, and Will needs to take a seat on the bench because he's done. And this was right after the Texas Tech game when Avery had a really good game. And I said, no, what are you guys thinking? Will Howard is really, really good. It would be foolish of you to bench a senior who is on track to breaking the school record and doing all this stuff. Plus he won you a Big 12 title. It made no sense to me whatsoever. Well, the guy gets on there, makes a message saying I never heard anybody say this. And I've been watching football since 3 decades before you took your first breath or whatever, dude. And then he called us woke for some reason. I don't even know what this guy's talking about, but but what's interesting is if it wasn't being said, if this is all just in my mind, then why in the world was Ben Sennett, during an interview, Ben Sennett called out the media, called out the K-State fans to tell them to stop talking shit on Will Howard. He was sick and tired of the way that they were talking to Will Howard. It's okay. So if it's not really going on, then why is Ben Sennett addressing it? That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to leave it there. And we'll just say that I won the debate between me and this old, retirement, or home. I don't even know what this guy is. I've never heard of it.
Retire or Bust was his name.
Retire or Bust was his name. So this guy is definitely somewhere in a retirement home, probably Meadowlark Hills. And you know what? He probably didn't hear anything about K-State and Meadowlark Hills. It's a retirement home. What do you expect? Anyway, I'm moving on. I'm done. That was my 2-minute rant there. But back to what's going on now. But that was months ago when we made that comment. But what's going on right now is a little bit more important. We're ending off the season right with some big stats. Big stats here.
Okay, so we need to talk about this. This is the next topic on the outline here. K-State's offensive coordinator Colin Klein left for Texas A&M. You and I talked about this during the game. He totally should have just stayed.
Yeah.
Just finish out the bowl game. I understand signing day was before that. It really would have been nice if he would have stayed for at least the bowl game. But Connor Riley, offensive line coach, he stepped up as an OC, 435 yards. Like you said, second best yards per play NC State has given up all season. Scored 28 points, 22 first downs. My biggest issue that I had with Connor Riley was his third down play calls. K-State was 4 of 14 on third down. Now, K-State was 4 of 4 on third down, fourth down, which is, pretty huge. So I guess if you add those 4 back into the third down, because K-State ended up converting those, K-State was 8 of 14, I guess, if you consider that a conversion as well. Now, one of those was a fake punt, but my biggest issue was his third down play calling. I'm not sure I'm quite ready for Connor Riley to be the OC yet. Now, it sounds like that's what's going to happen regardless. Um, Sounds like they're just going to, promote him to OC and just hire a quarterback coach. My personal opinion, this was a good game for him, but I feel like what's best for K-State is to go out and hire a quarterback guru that knows a lot about offense and bring him in as the offensive coordinator, intermix the old playbook with whatever he has, a new playbook, intermix them together and get a lot of diversity in the offense. I feel like that's what's best for K-State. And that's really what's best for Avery Johnson as well. You want your offensive coordinator to be the quarterback's coach, right? Like that's who he's going to be working with the most. You want that guy to be OC. Maybe they bring in a quarterback coach who is co-OC. The quarterback, it could be the passing game coordinator, Connor Riley, the running game coordinator. I'm just not ready for Connor Riley to be the full OC yet, but maybe, you know what? Maybe he'll prove me wrong. I don't know. Kenny, I want to hear your thoughts on Connor Riley's OC and if you think that's a good idea or not for K-State.
Oh man, this is gonna get clipped, isn't it? I
probably will get clipped.
I don't have too much of an opinion about Connor Riley being being the OC. It didn't seem like he was afraid to call the passing plays. It didn't. I mean, he obviously was calling a bunch of stuff, and you can say a lot of that was the bowl game and really flexing his muscles on the offensive line, since he knew he could pull a lot of this stuff off because he was the offensive line coach and he knew what they were capable of. So he was able to call a little bit more of those gutsy plays and those fourth down plays, because he knew, he's like, well, I know DJ is going to get the 3 yards because it's DJ Giddens and it's my offensive line. So, I mean, yeah, but I don't know if that's going to actually convert to or translate to a next season, like a consistent basis where he's consistently calling these plays. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe this is actually the way it's going to be. But I think it's hard to say it for now. If he becomes the offensive coordinator, I have to trust the coaching decision, the head, like Chris Kleiman. I have to trust his input in his decision. Now, his decision might be a little biased because he's literally carried this guy everywhere he's been, and he's just been there all the time with him. And so maybe that might sway his vote a little bit, but I'm really hoping that he is taking a objective view on this, and he's not weighing too much of his personal feelings and you know what I'm saying? It's hard to make a clear-cut statement because it's like, well, he won the game. Like, you can't, but it did not look pretty. And it's hard to say how much better Colin Klein would have done. It's hard to say because he wasn't there. And so it's a little frustrating, but what we can say is that Clanderman was still balling out. Not in the first half, but Clanderman does what Clanderman does. He lets you kind of get away with some things in the first half, and then he really hunkers down and just shuts you up in the second half. He did it to Texas. He did it to Oklahoma State, and even though they were just too far ahead and our offense couldn't convert, but our defense kept bailing out our offense in the back half of the game every time. So Clanderman is solid as a rock. I'm happy that he's there, but as far as our OC goes, man, I don't know. I don't have anything I can really weigh in on there. I don't have a dog in this fight, man. I really don't.
You didn't give me an answer. Yes or no? Should they hire Riley as a new OC? I'm going to say no. What do you think?
I think because I'm not giving you an answer, it has to be no. Because I feel like if you're talking OC, you have to just say yes, like definitively. But if you're on the fence, you should go with somebody else then. You should be excited about who the offensive coordinator is. And you and I are just not excited about it. So it's like, can he do the job? Well, yeah, clearly he can do the job, but it was
not pretty at times, man. It really was not. It was frustrating. In fact,
should he get the
there's
job?
two different ways you look at this, and I'm going to put us full screen for this. Two different ways to look at it. One, K-State scored 28 points with a freshman quarterback. Your All-American tight end is gone. Your number one wide receiver is gone, and your offense coordinator is gone. So the guy coming in as a new OC scored 28 points against a very, very good defense. That's the positive outlook to look at it. The negative side is K-State stalled a ton of times in K-State's offense. I feel like personally almost let NC State back into this game. Like it felt like, man, a lot of these play calls, like, what are we doing? Sometimes it was penalties as well, and that's not really on the OC. But the play calls after the penalties are like, what are we doing, man? Like, and trying to go wide a lot of times with DJ Giddens when he's obviously a downhill between the tackles runner. I don't get that at all. So there's definitely two different ways to look at it. I think you and I both feel that this Colin Riley is not the right guy for OC, but we feel like Chris Kleiman is loyal to his guys, and he's probably just going to promote him from within. We don't think that's the best idea, but I guess we're just going to have to get used to that. So that's our thoughts on the OC.
We got some comments that came in while I was on my rant there. It says, I'm not on board with Riley. Need another guy to be co-offensive coordinator.
Yep.
I think that's what we're kind of saying here, man.
Yep.
I kind of agree there. And then I'll like to see the Liberty offense coordinator come in.
Yeah, so the Liberty offense coordinator, I think, is a former quarterback for Clemson. I'd have to look up his name, but he's killed it this year. They're 12-0. He'd be a great addition. Him or the Texas State offensive coordinator, both of them would be the top two in my list. But I think his name is Korn.
It seems like Chris Kleiman is like really good at networking with other coaches. It seems like, he's like, it seems like he just knows everybody and has a great relationship with everybody, which is super cool. And so I'm sure he's going to make the best decision possible for his, I mean, it is his team ultimately, it's his decision and it's his butt on the line, if things don't go well. He's the one that, I mean, yeah, you could blame the offensive coordinator, but who's the guy that's hiring the offensive coordinator? So I'm sure he's got to think about this, and he's got some time to think about it. They're going to enjoy this win, but I think they need to make a decision pretty soon. And I trust that Chris Kleiman's going to do the right thing. He's going to make the right decision. And we, for better or for worse, man, we ride and die purple, man. We bleed purple. So
absolutely,
we're gonna be supportive either way, and just know that whatever the decision is, it's the best decision for us, and we got to just go with it. So
the two OCs that I'd like us to hire is Willie Korn, the Liberty OC, like you talked about, and Robbie Schultz talked about, and Texas State's OC is Mac Leftwich. So those would be the two that I would go after, but we'll see what happens. I
would like Michael Bishop to be the offensive coordinator.
I'd like to see Jake Waters come back as a quarterback coach. That'd be pretty sick. He was a number one quarterback recruit in the JUCO rankings. In fact, I think he was a number one overall player in terms of JUCO rankings back in 2012. And he is an offensive analyst for Iowa State. We know he can throw the ball around. I'd love to see him come back as a quarterback coach if you're just going to hire within in terms of Connor Riley as OC. We've talked about the offense a ton. Let's turn our attention to the defense. Defense, and then we'll get into our players of the game and then our cat and dogs of the game, looking back at our score predictions, all of that. Okay, so K-State defense allowed 399 yards, only one. They allowed 2 touchdowns, but one of them was on a fake punt, which that's more special teams and defense, in my opinion, but it still counts as an offensive touchdown. They did intercept a pass. They did allow 164 yards passing, 235 yards rushing. They did allow 7.1 yards per rush, but in the second half, it felt like K-State's defense tightened down. They stopped the quarterback run game, which honestly, it felt like NC State kind of went away from it. K-State's defense definitely played a lot better after giving up 42 to Iowa State. Kenny, thoughts on the K-State defense against a pretty mediocre NC State offense?
Yeah, for a quarter and a half, we were that we were shutting them out. There was at one point in the first quarter they tried to go for it on fourth, and we stuffed them. That was huge. That just goes to show how stinking good we are. And we didn't even have Uso in the game, so there's that. Des Purnell played out of his mind. Let's not forget he's from Topeka, Kansas, man. So that's legit. And then the fresh. Well, I keep forgetting this kid's name, but the freshman corners were good. They didn't let too many go by. And then of course, I mean, I said in my hot takes, man, Jacob Parrish, I was like, he's going to get an interception this game. So, and I remember calling it. I mean, I called interception 2 times, and one didn't happen. But the one I was like, it's going to be an interception right here. Jacob Parrish interception right here, and he actually got it. It was pretty legit. And then you called something else too when on offense. It was pretty legit. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see that our secondary is like majority of our secondary is coming back next year. Des Purnell, he's coming back. Uso's coming back. I think
Austin Moore, Brendan Mott.
Austin Moore's coming back. Romaine's coming back. I mean, our defense is pretty much all coming back. And then we're getting some transfer portal, I think, for Kobe Savage's spot. So it's looking really good, man. Our defense, that's what wins you games, man. I was really hoping to see a little bit more turnovers happen in the game.
Well, if Marquise Siegel had any ball skills,
that is true.
He really needs to get on the gun and just catch passes like he's a wide receiver, dude, because that guy's dropped so many INTs this year. He's in the right place at the right time. He's running the routes for the guys. Sometimes he struggled against bigger receivers, faster receivers, but overall, I feel like he played pretty well against the pass this year. I don't know how many interceptions he dropped. It had to have been about a half dozen, it felt like. And of course, that one that he dropped right after that, they scored a touchdown. It feels like anytime you drop an interception, the other team's just going to come right down and score a touchdown, and that happened in this game. Yeah. But like you said, man, like a lot of those younger guys played pretty well. I said it in my opening, that in my initial thoughts, that I feel like this was the best game that the safeties had played this season. I was pretty impressed with Jack Fabris coming in, making a couple tackles. VJ Payne probably played his best game of the season.
Dude, that sack though was sick.
Oh my God, he laid the wood. He may have knocked him out. May have shook him up a little bit, dude.
Dude, that was a massive hit. I mean, we were not afraid to hit these guys hard. I mean, Concepcion, whatever his name is.
Concepcion. Yeah, he's pretty good.
That guy was getting shook like almost every other play. He'd have to like get taken out of the game, and he's like limping around. He's like squatting, holding his hand. I'm like, dang, he is not having a good day.
Straight up not having a good time.
Totally, man. Just totally not having it, bro. He's getting lit up, dude. No, seriously, he was having a rough day. He needs to take like a couple ice baths, dude, after that.
I would like to see some sacks in this game, but their quarterback was pretty elusive. I mean, he's a fifth-year guy, big, strong, knows when to get rid of the ball, but a lot of the pressure, because K-State blitzed a ton in this game, and a lot of that pressure caused him to throw it, where he didn't want it to. There was one time he threw it to – there was no one around 20 yards around him, right? No one. He threw it several times to our defense. He had to check it down a lot. K-State brought the pressure, and it definitely rattled that quarterback. I feel like K-State's defense overall played pretty darn well. When you hold a team to under 21 points in a game, you're definitely going to give your team a great chance to win, and they did that against NC State. Let's go over some of the stats from this game defensively for K-State. VJ Payne led the team. Wow. 10 total tackles. Like I said, man, I felt like this was his best game as a Wildcat, 7 of them solo. Kobe McAllister had 6. Jacob Parrish had 6. He did have a half a sack, and he also had that interception. Purnell, man, he was lighting it up. 4 total tackles, including 1 TFL. D-line didn't get a ton of sacks, but overall, K-State, I feel like, played pretty well. Like I said, Jacob Parrish had the interception. Looking at their offense in terms of what production they got, Their receiver, Concepcion, had 7 catches for 72 yards. He also ran the ball 3 times for 23 yards. So he had just under 100 total yards on 10 touches. He's a good player, man. Like, you can tell he's a good player. I think they said he was the ACC Rookie of the Year, and you can see why. Their quarterback ran the ball 17 times for 121 yards and a touchdown, including that 31-yard TD run. That was a pretty nice play. Good for them. Ad is playing. I don't know if you can hear it. I'm going to turn that off. My bad. It always happens on ESPN. He was 14 of 28 for 164 yards, no passing touchdowns, an interception, and K-State held him to 67 on the QBR. K-State defense played pretty well, even though it felt like in the first half it was pretty frustrating. I will say that field goal right before half was definitely due to 2 penalties. One,
we helped them out a lot there.
We did. We had 6 penalties, I think, in the game. 2 on that drive that helped them out. That was kicking it out of bounds, giving the ball to them at the 35, and then the PI, which was very questionable in my opinion. Very questionable in my opinion. Given an extra 15 yards, so that is 25 yards right there. I think they had the ball to 15 on their last offensive play, so they could have pushed them back to the 40. That is a pretty big difference. So those penalties definitely gave up 3 points in the game, but they also missed a field goal. So I guess it's kind of give and take. K-State defense, I feel like, played pretty darn decent in this game.
Yeah, man, it was unreal. They played really, really well. Shout out to the special teams also, man. I really wish they would have just given Porter that return.
I know.
It's like, bro, this is his last game as a K-Stater. He's like,
that was another questionable call because like they said he pushed him in the back, but the other guy hit him in the front, so he still got blocked regardless.
Yeah, he was blocked.
We kind of got shafted there a little bit.
Yeah, the officiating crew was really trying to let the ACC get back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they really just didn't want to see the Big 12 win another bowl game.
Absolutely. So, I think so. If you take out Oklahoma, which you can't because they're still a Big 12 team, but if you take out Oklahoma and add Arizona, which they played last night, and Arizona won, the Big 12 would be 6-1 this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty darn good.
That's wild.
Okay, let's get into our players of the game. So we went back and forth on who should be the offensive player of the game. We felt like until that last touchdown, DJ Giddens was going to be the offensive player of the game. Obviously, it went to Avery Howard, which 250 yards, 3
Avery Johnson.
Avery Johnson played pretty darn well.
You said Avery Howard.
Did I really?
You said Avery Howard.
Avery Howard. So Avery Johnson definitely deserved MVP, but until that last touchdown, I feel like DJ Giddens deserved it, and we decided to go with DJ Giddens as cat of the game, the offensive player of the game.
Yeah,
188 total yards on 29 touches, 2 total touchdowns. He had 28 carries for 151 yards and a touchdown. He had 1 catch for 37 yards and a touchdown on the opening drive on 4th and 5. DJ Giddens, offensive player of the game. He brought his tackle blocks with him, man. He was ready to go fishing. He was picking up all sorts of fish. He was trying out different lures. One was a receiving touchdown. One was a rushing touchdown. I really wanted to see a passing touchdown lure out of DJ Giddens, but I feel like he definitely deserved offensive player of the game.
Yeah, dude, it's so nice. I mean, this is not his first offensive player of the game either. He got one back against the UCF game. He's gotten a couple over the season, and he has. I mean, let's not forget whose shoes he had to fill this year. Deuce Vaughn. Okay, that was the guy that was right there before him last year, and so as a true freshman, you're looking up to Deuce Vaughn as the guy that you have to replace. And I'm going to tell you right now, man, DJ, you have at least met the expectations of what K-State fans were hoping to see in you. It's hard to fill Deuce Vaughn's shoes, man. He's an NFL player, he's really, really good. He's an exceptional talent. But man, DJ, as him being only a sophomore, I can't wait to see what he does in the next couple of years, man, at K-State. It's going to be it's going to be electrifying seeing him on the field. I think he's going to be doing some huge things for our school, man.
Absolutely. He's only a sophomore, like you said. DJ was definitely turnt last night. Okay. Defensive player of the game. We went back and forth on who it should be. We went with Jacob Parrish,
That's
corner. Right. He was third on the team in tackles. He had the game-sealing interception, which you called before the game. K-State's probably K-State's best corner all season in terms of PFF grades. Overall, I feel like he had a really good sophomore year at K-State, and he is our dog defensive player of the game. And I know you love some Jacob Parrish there, Kenny G.
Yeah, man. I've been rooting for him since day one. He's been my day one. This season, he's been my day one. No, but seriously, man, I've been rooting for this kid since the beginning of the season. I've seen how good he is, and for some people that may have forgotten, guess who wasn't at the OSU Cowboy game? Jacob Parrish. He didn't go to that game. He was injured, or he's trying to, I guess, maybe nurse an injury that he had in the game before. And he didn't make it to that game. And what a difference it could have possibly made if he was at that game. And we would have probably won that game and potentially gone to the, us been in the Big 12 championship game. We can't change the past, but it just goes to show, man, this guy is a really good player. People don't throw to him. And the reason why they don't throw to him is because he does what he just did against NC State. Now they probably didn't realize that in the film because that people don't throw to him for a reason,
right?
All the other Big 12 teams know, like, don't throw to Jacob Parrish. If you're gonna do that, you're kissing your pass goodbye. So. And Jacob Parrish, man, if you're gonna throw to anybody, throw to Siegel. You see what happens. Although it did feel really good to see Siegel catch a ball against the Jayhawks, which again they had their freshman quarterback, so I can't bully him too much, but it is always nice to step on little brother every once in a while. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Okay, let's take a look at our look back at our score predictions and hot takes. So, Kenny, you had a score prediction of 45-28. I said 34-24. I was definitely closer than you were.
You were way closer.
We won by 9. I said K-State would win by 10. I'll take the dub there.
You take the dub for sure. And it's interesting because I was really optimistic, and we actually came out in the first half with 21 points. So we were on pace to go 40 points this game. And they had 10. So they were on pace to score a little over 20. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, we might actually have a good pace here for my prediction. And I've been pretty close on a lot of my predictions. So, but we just couldn't get it done in the third quarter, man. That really, really hurt us a lot in that third quarter. But hey, a win's a win, man. Doesn't matter if it's 1 or 90. You know what I'm saying?
Cats by 90, baby. Cats by 90. Okay. You said Avery Johnson is going to win MVP. 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns. I said Avery Johnson with 3 total touchdowns. I cannot believe I got that right, dude.
That is wild. Yeah.
And 300 total yards. He had 250. And I also said, go back to the video and watch it because I said it. DJ Giddens would have 150 yards, and he had 188. So I'm taking the offensive hot take dub there pretty easily. Now, defensively, this is where you take the hot take dub here. You said Jacob Parrish with an interception, and that happened. I said Des Purnell with an interception and a sack, and that did not happen. So you take the defense, I'll take the offense, I'll take the score. Overall, I'll take the win here.
There you go. You take the win.
Okay, I want to get your thoughts on the Pop-Tarts Bowl overall. I felt like it was a pretty fun bowl. This is the first time Pop-Tarts had been a sponsor of the bowl. The Pop-Tart was coming out of the toaster.
The Pop-Tart was getting turnt, man. He was
man.
he was twerking.
He was having a good time.
He was like slapping the referees in the butt. He was chasing the ball around when it would go out of bounds. He was like running after the ball and stuff. Dude, whoever was the guy in that mascot, that was hilarious performance by him. He was all over the place. It was really fun. And I remember watching a few of these YouTube shows, and a lot of people that were talking about the game, they had mentioned that as they were watching the game with their kids, their younger kids, like 4, 5, 6-year-olds, they were loving the Pop-Tart mascot. I mean, he's like, this is, a lot of people were saying like, this is the most fun that they've had watching a bowl game with their family, So I'm definitely approving the Pop-Tarts bowl game. It was a really cool bowl game. I loved at the end where the announcer said, we're going to be, this is the first ever edible mascot. And then he goes, take that, Duke's Mayo Bowl.
I remember that. And you looked at me, and you're like, did he just say that? I'm like, he did.
They're like literally dogging on each other's like bowl games. It's pretty cool, man. I was having a lot of fun. Who would have thought that the Pop-Tart, like, it was kind of sounded corny, but it ended up being kind of cool. Actually, they actually made it really cool. The trophy's cool. How all the players got to have a piece of that huge Pop-Tart that came out. It was cool, man. I thought it was a cool thing.
And you called it, man. You said it was going to be strawberry. I went off the beaten path of cookies and cream. It ended up being strawberry. At least that's what it looked like on TV.
It was strawberry for sure. It had to have been.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool, though. He went up to the top and jumped in the toaster, and then out came a Pop-Tart for everyone to eat. That was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. That was pretty cool. I want to say one more thing, and then we're gonna get out of here. I forgot to say this earlier. You talked about it. The last offensive play of the game that wasn't a kneel down for K-State, when K-State just needed to get one more first down. K-State lined up in the same offensive set that they lined up against for Texas Tech, where Avery Johnson had like a 30-yard touchdown against them. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the same formation. They're going to run it to the left side with Avery Johnson. And that's exactly what they did. In case they got the first down, he got 7 yards. I got my parlay win, which was huge. I won $100 bet, and I want to say exactly what my bet was here really quickly. So
yeah,
I bet $10.
You bet $10. I should have bet on the flavor of Pop-Tart.
You should have, dude. You should have. Okay, so here is my bet, and I said Avery Johnson anytime touchdown score. Obviously, had a rushing touchdown. DJ Giddens anytime touchdown score. He had 2. Jace Brown over 51.5 receiving yards. He had 52 receiving yards. Avery Johnson over 64.5 rushing yards. He had 71. And then I said DJ Giddens over 70 rushing yards. And he had 152. A $10 bet paid out $110. I was pretty excited about that. So it was a good day for me, man.
Round of applause.
The Pop-Tarts are pretty good. I had a chocolate fudge Pop-Tart. Did you end up having that brown sugar cinnamon?
Yeah, I was eating that brown cinnamon cinnamon, sorry. Brown cinnamon sugar. I was eating that Pop-Tart when you were on your way to go get some pizza. You came back you came back inside, and I was stuffing my face with a brown sugar.
I was like, he's got to be eating that Pop-Tart right now, because I saw something in your hand. I was like, oh, that's got to be a Pop-Tart.
Yeah, so. It was totally. I was scarfing that thing down, dude. I haven't had Pop-Tarts in a minute.
It was fun.
But brown sugar cinnamon, that was my jam, and it's still it brought me back. It took me back to that with a tall glass of milk was chef's kiss. You know what I'm saying? But that pizza that you got was really good too.
Pizza was so good. We got pizza from Willie's Hideout in St. George, Kansas.
We got a regular us.
We got a regular, yeah. If you want to sponsor us, that'd be great. We got a regular pepperoni pizza, and then we got a pepperoni pizza with cream cheese on it. And both, actually, I think I only had cream cheese, and it was delicious. But I know regular pizza is good as well. So That's a podcast. We're ending talking about food here.
Yeah, you start out with Avery Johnson, you end with cream cheese pizza. You know, that's how we do it here on the Purple Pod.
Let's
KSU
talk about
Nation.
one. Let's talk about one more thing, and then let's get out of here. K-State ended the season 9-4, back-to-back seasons with 9 or more wins. K-State easily could have had 10 plus wins for back-to-back seasons. I want to get your thoughts on the overall season for K-State, Kenny. Did K-State meet expectations, and just your overall thoughts when K-State dealing with injuries and opt-outs overall? What's your overall thoughts on K-State's season this year, ending 9-4 with a bowl win?
My overall thoughts were K-State did not meet the expectations that we had for before the season. However, we looked good, we looked really good. And if all of our hardest games were at home, we probably would have won those games, and we probably would be potentially in the playoff contention. I mean, it could be. I mean, if Texas, now the only reason why Texas is in there because they beat Alabama, but if Texas wasn't in there and we won all those games that were away, if we played them at home, we probably would have won. And who knows, we could probably be in that conversation. I don't know. That's neither here nor there, but I mean, it was a fun season. I got to go to a lot of home games. We got to hang out a bunch. Doing the show has been a lot of fun as well. Covering the games, watching with a little bit more intent, so that way I can give you guys the real facts and give you guys the good solid takes, so that you can take it and run with it. I'm not going to tell you what to bet, but I'm just saying I've been writing a lot of these predictions. Steve, you've been writing a lot of these predictions. So somewhere between you and I, you can't lose. But yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun. And I know we're going to be moving on to basketball season here with the Purple Pod in the next year, a couple days. But man, I cannot wait. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be starved with the football podcasting. I just can't wait to hop back in next year, especially with all the hype around Avery Johnson coming in, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So farewell to this year. The guys that were here playing your hearts out, I appreciate you guys making our school look as good as we did. And, really makes me proud to be a K-State fan for sure.
I agree with basically everything you said. K-State did not meet the overall expectations, but K-State still had a good year. When you win 9 or more games, which K-State has done 6 times in the last 15 years, the only team in this state to do that. The only team in this state to do that over the last 15 years. To win 9 or more games back-to-back seasons is amazing. Obviously, we all thought K-State had a chance to be in contention for the college football playoff. Unfortunately, the scheduled gods were not on our side. K-State played 5 games against top 25 teams this year, and not a single one of them were
away.
Well, 4 of them were away. One was a neutral site against NC State. K-State was 2-3 in those games. K-State lost to Missouri by 3. K-State lost to Texas by 3. They lost to Oklahoma State by 8, and they beat KU by 4, and then they beat NC State by 9. I do feel like if some of those games were at home, K-State probably would have won 10 or 11 games, possibly in a Big 12 championship, possibly in a college football playoff. K-State definitely had all the talent you needed to do that. Unfortunately, it did not happen, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a good season. When you win 9 games in back-to-back years, specifically at a school like K-State, that tells you that you were doing something right. And Chris Kleiman's got this program humming right now, and you couldn't be more excited with the amount of young guys that are playing. DJ Giddens, a sophomore, Avery Johnson, freshman, Jace Brown, freshman, a ton of guys on defense as well, Jacob Parrish, BJ Payne, both of those guys are sophomores.
Des Purnell, sophomore.
Des Purnell, sophomore. Austin Romaine, freshman. Asa Newsom, freshman. Jake Clifton, sophomore. Just a ton of guys that are underclassmen, and I'm pretty excited about the future for K-State. This has been a good season, but I'm excited to talk about K-State basketball coming up pretty soon as well. I think the plan is to do one podcast per week to talk about the most recent game and then the upcoming game. And then we're going to clip those out as regular videos as well. I think our next podcast will probably be on Wednesday, which will be the day after the Chicago State game, as we preview the upcoming conference slate for K-State basketball. This has been a fun time talking about K-State football for sure. It's been a great season, and I'm excited about the future for K-State basketball, K-State football, and also the future of this channel as well. We've started with 0 subs back in August, and now we're at 140 or more. We appreciate everyone for subbing, telling friends, watching, commenting, all of that. It's been a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate you guys so much. Also, the constant guests that have been on the show as well.
We're gonna try to get more of those as well.
Yeah, shout out to Mr. Savage for him coming on the show. Keith and Valentine, our good friend Cody. He bet his channel spot, on that game against Missouri, and you see what happened.
He's not here.
Yeah, he said, "I'll bet his podcasting career," and he shouldn't have done that. He just shouldn't have done that, but. But yeah, we appreciate everybody that took the time out to come on the show, to be a part of this. Like I said, it started out as like a little passion project. We didn't know what was going to happen with this thing, and it's actually starting to really get some traction, and people are starting to watch it and appreciate what we got to say on here. So it's been a lot of fun interacting with the people on the comments and just making these videos. It's been really cool. So
for sure,
yeah, man.
Shout out to Kenny for coming up with the Purple Pod and KSU Nation and the intro and outro as well. Like I do a lot of like the graphics and like the outlines, but you came up with everything else. So big shout out to you, Kenny.
Hey man, I don't know what to say, man. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
This is a lot of fun. But before we get out of here, make sure you guys like, subscribe, tell your friends, comment. And try to watch as much of our channel as possible if you guys could. Again, I'm Stevie B.
I'm Kenny G.
And go Cats, baby.
Go Cats, baby. Woo!
Damn,